Auburn wrapped up another day of fall camp, and the two deep, I think it does answer some questions that was seen today.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into a special live edition of Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy fall camp. It's here, and I'm excited to talk about some of the notes coming out of fall camp today. Looking at the first team offense that took the field today during the media viewing window, it looks more similar to what we expected all offseason. Jackson Arnold at quarterback, Damari Alston at running back. We saw Eric Singleton and Malcolm Simmons kind of rotating in and out. Perry Thompson was out there, and so was Sam Turner. Interesting. The offensive line went chalk with what we've seen from left to right. Xavier Chaplin, Dylan Wade, Connor Liu, Jeremiah Wright, Mason Murphy. And then at tight end, we saw Brandon Frazier, which I think you're going to see kind of some movement with the tight ends based on, what they're specifically trying to do. But I do think the wide receiver use is at least intriguing, if nothing else. I mean, obviously Cam Coleman is going to start at wide receiver for Auburn, and he wasn't with the first group. And okay, who cares, right? Who cares? But I do think it says I don't think it's going to, I don't think this says Sam Turner, Perry Thompson are starters, but I do think it says that them being in the conversation of being in the rotation is part of it, which is exciting. Maybe one surprise in this, and I'm very hesitant to say surprise with this, but I think I am just because it's not what I predicted. But I haven't really heard a whole lot about Horatio Fields. I've heard more about Perry Thompson and Sam Turner so far throughout fall camp than I have with Horatio. And once again, early in fall camp, you got to kind of be careful with looking at, who's with the first team offense during this media viewing window, who's with the second team offense, and so on, because it only matters so much. But I do think it gives some context. But Horatio, you're not seeing him as first up, and I'm a little surprised by that. But hats off to Sam Turner. Hats off to Perry Thompson, because once again, Perry has generated buzz quickly and consistently, and I'm excited about that. That's the best case scenario for Auburn, is if Perry Thompson puts it all together and is a force for this offense. First team defense, what stands out there is, to me, Elijah Melendez and Xavier Atkins were the linebackers. DeMarcus Riddick today, he's wearing a yellow non-contact jersey, which is what we saw from him throughout the spring. And so, is that going to be part of it? But I love the chatter that we're hearing about Elijah Melendez. I love it. It's such a big deal. I mean, I think Elijah Melendez is going to be a guy who is too good to keep off of the field. And there are a few position groups that I have questions about. Linebacker is one of them. Not because I don't like the guys. It's just there's not really any proven dudes that we've seen that have played linebacker at Auburn before. Caleb Wheatland has played linebacker at Maryland. DeMarcus Riddick was really good when we saw him at Auburn last year, but he wasn't playing linebacker. So there's not this true guy that's coming back outside of Robert Woodyard, who's playing a similar role than what they've played previously. Once again, I think Woodyard might be the closest in that regard. And so that opens the door for Xavier Atkins, the former LSU linebacker, athletic as they get. It opens the door for him for reps. It opens the door for Elijah Melendez, who we're hearing might be too good to keep off of the field. And all of a sudden, it's okay, there might have been questions when it comes to depth, similar with defensive line. We'll get there in a second. It's oh, all right. You can see the pathway of how this could work out in favor of DJ Durkin and this Auburn defensive coaching staff. I think they're going to have some options. So there we go. somebody in the comment section saying people aren't talking about Kieran Crawford enough. That's probably true. That's probably true. Kieran Crawford, I think, is going to have an incredible season. Is it all because of Kieran Crawford? I don't know. Like, I think Kieran Crawford is going to take that step forward. We saw him get better and better as the year went on last year. Similar progression, what we saw with Jalen McLeod. Similar situations coming from G5, going to the SEC. I think it's going to be a similar path. I love Kieran Crawford's length, and I think he may have a few more tools than what Jalen McLeod had. Might be too early to fully make that take, but I like Kieran's upside. He's played football for not very long. I think we all forget that. So I agree. But I think Kieran Crawford may have success to finish my thought. It won't all be because of Kieran. I do think he's going to be in a better situation than what Jalen McLeod was during their times at Auburn, since these two guys are kind of similar. Their arcs, their career arcs ending up at Auburn are similar. But J-Mac doesn't have, he didn't have a third-year Keldrick Falk on the other side of him, and he didn't have a second-year Malik Blockton next to him. And so I think Kieran Crawford is going to be in a prime spot to get one-on-one with opposing offensive tackles, and maybe in some situations guards or tight ends, which is even more ideal, to where I think he's going to have opportunities to win and wreak havoc on opposing quarterbacks, which is everything you could ask for. So I love that. But yeah, the starting defense today, Keldrick Falk, Malik Blockton, Bobby Jamison, Travis, Kieran Crawford, Jay Hardy, and Jordan Crawford rotated in. Remember Jordan Crawford's name. I'm going to bring him up more in a second. Elijah Melendez, Xavier Atkins at linebacker. Your corners, Kay and Lee J. Crawford. Then your safeties, Caleb Harris, Kinsley Lador Faustin, and then at nickel with Sylvester Smith, which I think is interesting. We've talked about the versatility of the defensive backs, but I haven't talked a ton about Sylvester Smith at nickel because I've heard, other guys at nickel, but there have been questions with the emergence of some of these true freshmen. What do they do with Sylvester Smith? Could he really be hopped in the depth chart at any point of the season or even in fall camp? I genuinely don't know the answer. I think the upside of Eric Winters or New Boy Fagans is higher than Sylvester Smith. But right now, today, against Baylor, who would I rather have on the field? I think you can make the argument for all of those guys. If they're putting Sylvester Smith with more reps at nickel, is that their way of saying, hey, we want you on the field, and so we need you to be comfortable at multiple positions? Possibly. I might be reading too much into that, but I think it would make sense. They would make sense for a lot of Auburn's defensive backs to be in that situation, because on this roster of defensive backs, there's a lot of talented guys, but how many of these guys are surefire starters of their specific position? You got Caleb Harris at one of the safety spots, and I think you have Jay Crawford and Kay and Lee at the outside corner spots. I think that's kind of it. I think everybody else is just okay, you're really good. We need you on the field. And so, you might have to mix and match a little bit to get some of those guys comfortable. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just trying to pull some info out of all of this. Justin Ferguson had a note that linebacker does feel open, and he said Caleb Wheatland, is still getting adjusted to his new team after arriving this summer. So I'm curious to see what type of expectations this coaching staff has for Caleb Wheatland, because when they added him, this seems like a really solid addition. But I haven't heard much about him from fall camp. So I'm glad that Ferg did that over at his Auburn Observer newsletter, for sure. For sure. There are some injuries that kind of don't seem to be going away, as well as some guys who didn't really participate today. What does that mean? And also, I think you can make the argument that the depth chart with the two deep is actually more interesting than the first team. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. A lot of us hit that wall halfway through, or maybe you wake up at the crack of dawn, 2 a.m. because you got to drive your family back from Ohio after being up there for 3.5 weeks. Maybe that's a thing. And you're like, man, I don't feel like doing this. And you got to pop a 5 Hour Energy. We love 5 Hour Energy here at Locked On. They've got these new 5-hour energy transfusions. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. And it can help get you home. It can turn 18 holes of golf into 36. Whatever it might be, it helps you kind of get through the rest of your day or whatever it is that's in front of you. So, hey, go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com right now. You can use my promo code Locked On Golf, all one word, Locked On Golf, to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order. It cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. So whether you're meeting up with friends, you can, or whatever it might be, you can get the energizing boost you need to power through your day. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. Let's go. All right. Few injury notes. The running back room, like it seems to continue to be a thing. Damari Austin practiced today, which is good. Jeremiah Cobb still has the yellow non-contact jersey. And so Jeremiah Cobb with his style of play, he needs his fingers. He's got to catch the ball. Because I think he's going to be using the passing game this year. And I think if it was Damari or Darrell, I think it would feel a little bit different. So that's interesting. And because of that, I need that note needs to be out there before we talk about the second team offense. Second team offense, Deuce Knight is QB2, according to this, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but we are going to get some context out of it. The second running back today is Omar Mabson. Okay. Okay. Guys, I think Omar Mabson's going to be really good. Now, is he in the 2 deep because of pure talent and how good he is today, or the fact that they're being cautious with the other running backs? It's probably a combination of both, but more specifically, it's probably the latter. So we'll see. But Omar Mabson, I think from what I've been told, and I've talked to some people close to him, I think he sees kind of a path to playing time, and I don't think he's letting go of it. And the fact that it's him and not Alvin Henderson, I think says something. Take that for what it's worth. Second team receivers were Horatio Fields and Cameron King. They had Bryce Cain at the slot, and then Preston Howard at tight end. Preston Howard is a guy that I'm hearing a lot of. In fact, Lance Daw on the barnauburn.com, you can sign up there. I think he posted it there. Maybe he just sent it to me. No, I think he posted it there. He shared a video of Hugh Freeze and a few other coaches spending some time specifically with Preston Howard. And Preston Howard's a guy that multiple other writers have discussed how good he looks throughout fall camp, which they're going to need him to be good. I expect him to lead Auburn's tight ends in receiving this year, both with catches and yards, maybe touchdowns. May go Brandon Frazier for touchdowns, but still he's going to be a part of the passing game, I think. And it seems like this coaching staff has made Preston Howard a priority so far. And then your offensive line from left to right, Xavier Miller, too tall. They had him at left tackle, backup left tackle again. Second time we've seen that. DeAndre Carter at left guard, Cale Ellis at center, Dylan Senda at right guard, and then Tyler Johnson at right tackle. Quick note about DeAndre Carter at left guard. We've seen Dylan Wade snapping the football and what we assume break glass in case of emergency type situation if something happens to Connor Lew. And so that would mean Dylan Wade scooting over to center. And then the question is, okay, who plays left guard? Do you put one of your tackles there, or their second team offense left guard is DeAndre Carter? Just take that for what it's worth. If something were to happen to Connor Lew, who is that left guard, assuming Dylan Wade is the next center? It's worth thinking about. Second team defense, Darian Smith at DN, Malik Autry at defensive tackle, Dallas Walker, the transfer from Western Kentucky at nose, Joe Phillips at buck. Sometimes we forget about Joe Phillips. Can't wait to see him. And then at linebacker, Robert Woodyard, Bryce Diaz. At corner, Ryan Strader and Blake Woodby. At nickel, New Boy Fagans. And then it's the safety spots, Jaquez Robinson and Eric Winters. So that's fun. Interesting stuff there. As far as the other guys that might be hurt, doesn't sound like Rayshawn Pleasant practiced. Sounds like it's an ankle. And then Donovan Starr doesn't look like he practiced today. And then Amaris Williams had something on his wrist. And is that it? I think that's it. So we got some guys that are banged up. I don't think any of them are banged up to the point where, like, if Auburn plays Baylor this Friday, that they would miss. That is my understanding of it. But we'll keep it for what it's. I mean, maybe Pleasant. I don't know. I mean, an ankle is kind of one thing you can't really play through to some extent. So we'll see. All right, this is live. If anybody has any comments or questions about specific guys, I'll spend a few minutes chatting with you guys, answering those questions. If anybody has anything. TK is saying Jay Crawford did not have a pass completed on him today. You think I'm surprised by that? Jay Crawford is like, he is an island. He is an island where receivers go and they do not return. Jay Crawford, like, what he's going to do this season, like, I don't think people get it. I don't think people understand how good he is. That's just where I'm at with it. Sam asks, Zach, is there any concern with the number of freshmen on the 2 deep? No, there's no concern. In fact, I think that's going to be a thing with this portal situation and with this rev share and NIL situation. I think most schools, this is a macro answer to a specific question, but I do think you're going to see some, like, relevant roster spots shrink in some situations, especially if you have a top heavy roster, because you can't pay everybody $10 million. And so I do think, one, Auburn's freshman class last year was really, really good. And two, like, it's at positions that don't grow on trees and they seem more expensive to get through the portal. And so it's like, all right, let's just see if a 4-star freshman can get it done. I mean, how many great defensive tackles were there available in the portal for Auburn to go and get? And the ones who were, they commanded a bunch. And also, they went heavy in the portal defensive tackle last year and just spent a lot of money on guys like Gage Keys. And it's like, was that worth it? I don't think so. So, like, at the spots where there are freshmen, so defensive tackle, wide receiver, defensive back, I think it's a different situation just because Winters and Fagans are just so good. No. To answer your question, no, I'm not concerned. Chris Alexander, hearing timing issues with Jackson, truth behind that still early. So I talked about this yesterday, I think, or maybe this morning. All the days are running together. I feel like I've been awake for like a week straight. The biggest complaint that I heard from Oklahoma media members at SEC Media Days was confidence issues with Jackson Arnold in the form of holding on to the football too long. And that note started surfacing a little bit yesterday. It's still early. I'm not concerned about it, but that does need to be something that goes away in the next 3 weeks. I think we all agree on that. You tried 256 says, bold take, but Jordan Crawford will be a first round pick or early second round pick. I don't think that's crazy. In the sense of like talent and impact, I think Jordan Crawford's going to be very good. That type of D lineman doesn't always get drafted high. And so, like, if you can't rush the passer as a nose, the NFL like values you less in the draft. So that's my only pushback on that. But I think from a talent point of view, I'm totally cool with that. I got a bullet point over to the side here. 2 freshmen I keep hearing things on. I did not go to that. So thank you for bringing up Jordan Crawford. Jordan Crawford and Malik Autry. If I talk to anybody, they bring those guys up. Okay, great. How much of that is like Auburn has to have them? And how much of it is just like, oh, they're physically ready. Like they are physically ready to play on the SEC, like on the D-line day one. That's pretty rare. But like we knew it. That's why they were so coveted in the recruiting trail. And And props to Auburn for holding on to both these guys, especially Autry. I mean, we heard he was committed for forever, and we kept hearing like, "Oh, watch out for Florida. Oh, watch out for who was it? Ohio State that got into it." So yeah, I mean, Malik Autry physically, like, he's there too. Both those guys are there. Wisdom is key is asking, is McPherson the starting kicker? That is the assumption. That is the assumption for sure. Sam asking, who are some freshmen that don't start against Baylor but improve enough to play in the Iron Bowl? Sam Turner. Ryan G at tight end. You could say any of the defensive linemen. I'm totally okay with all of them. I'm fine with you saying Malik Autry. I'm fine with you saying, you said to start in the Iron Bowl. You added that. I don't know. One of the safeties, like if Fagans or Winters don't start at safety, it could be one of them. Elijah Melendez at linebacker could totally start by the end of the season. That might be it. Because that's like a tricky question, because it's like, who's good enough, but also who's at a position that's not buried. And it's like, I think Sam Turner's just as good at wide receiver as those guys are at their positions, but there's just more guys in front of them. I'll add Ryan G in there. Like, I don't think he's being discussed enough. It's just hard to make an impact as a true freshman at tight end, because you have to, one, be physically ready to block, and you have to be athletically ready to create separation. So that one's tricky. That one's tricky. All right. Cool. Let me see if there's anything else I didn't bring up. I mean, it sounded like the defense had a pretty good practice today. So take that for what it's worth. It's always tricky when you talk about that. It's like, was the offense bad or the defense good? Like, I think the defense was good. I think this defense is really, really good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. But yeah, I figured we'd go live. For a second. It's good to be home and kind of back into the normal swing of things. So thank you guys for popping on and hanging out for a few minutes as we get this week rolling. So hey, please like the video. Please like the live stream if you're in here live. And if you're tuning in after the fact, please like the video, and on audio, please subscribe and leave a review. Helps the show out a ton. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.